Be prepared, because what's coming next is a test, but not the kind you studied for, not the kind you can fail on paper. This is a soul test, designed not to shame you, but to reveal you. A test you didn't ask for, but one you were already qualified to pass the moment you decided you were done pretending you were okay. You're not being punished, you're being unmasked. The days ahead, June 22nd and 23rd, are no ordinary days. The Sun, now in Cancer, will clash with two cosmic forces that do not play gently, Saturn and Neptune. One brings pressure, the other brings fog. One makes you feel heavy, the other makes you question what's even real. Together, they don't break you. They peel back what's not really you, the masks, the roles, the emotional weight you didn't even realize you were still carrying. If you've been feeling strangely emotional lately, like a wave of heaviness that doesn't match your day, if your responsibilities feel like they've doubled overnight, if your heart feels confused, like it's trying to grieve something invisible, you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're tuning into a very real celestial event. On June 22nd, the Sun will square Saturn in Aries. That's a cosmic face-off between your emotional self, Cancer, and your karmic teacher, Saturn. Think of it like trying to cry in a courtroom. One side wants you to feel, the other demands you hold it together. This is where emotional responsibility becomes overwhelming, where your need to rest, protect, or nurture yourself feels blocked by guilt, shame, or duty. And right after, on June 23rd, the Sun squares Neptune. The fog creeps in. Suddenly, what felt heavy yesterday feels confusing today. You'll question what's real, what's worth it. You'll second-guess your instincts, and you'll start to see that what you thought was your truth might have just been your trauma, wearing a convincing mask. But before we go any deeper, take a breath with me. If you're here, if this message found you now, there's a reason. The universe shows this kind of message only to those who are ready to hear it. So if this resonates with your soul, even just a little, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop the number 77 in the comments below. Not because it's trendy, but because numbers carry frequency. And this one marks that you received the transmission. It's your energetic acknowledgement. I'm not going to sleep through this test. I'm awake, I'm here, I'm ready. Now let's talk about what this really is. This isn't just another hard astrological moment. This is a divine checkpoint. These 2 days are a spotlight shining on the emotional structures in your life that were built out of survival, but no longer serve your becoming. That relationship you keep fixing, that identity you keep performing, that quiet ache you keep avoiding. These 2 planetary squares don't destroy you, but they put pressure on your armor. And here's what's wild. The armor starts to crack only when the real you underneath is finally strong enough to step out. And if you're wondering, why now? Why all at once? The answer is simple, because the moon just showed you something. The full moon poured light into your body. It delivered codes, memories, clarity. But what it couldn't do was help you hold that frequency. That's Saturn's job. That's what this test is about. Not manifesting, not vibing higher, but anchoring what you've been shown in real life. Under pressure, in moments when you feel like falling apart, you might be asking, how do I pass a test I didn't know I signed up for? The answer isn't in doing more. It's in noticing more. When Saturn presses on your heart, don't push it away. Ask it what it wants you to see. When Neptune clouds your mind, don't try to force clarity. Trust what your body remembers, even when your logic forgets. This is not the kind of test you pass by fighting. It's the kind you pass by feeling. And yet, this isn't even the full picture, because underneath the weight, beneath the fog, there's something else happening, a mechanism working behind the scenes, something most people won't recognize, but it's the reason you're going through all of this now. We'll get to that in the final section. And once you see it, you'll never look at emotional pain the same way again. You'll understand why some people keep repeating the same emotional loops, why you felt stuck in cycles you couldn't explain, and most of all, you'll realize that this moment wasn't chaos. It was initiation. So stay with me, because what comes next will not only explain the emotions you're feeling, it might just free you from them forever. Like, subscribe. Comment the number 77 if you're with me in this. And let's go deeper. Because what's happening on June 22nd and 23rd is not random. It's not just a mood, it's a mirror, and the one thing it's reflecting back is you. Number 1. The emotional weight isn't new. It's finally visible. Let's begin with what you're feeling in your body right now. The tightness in your chest, the lump in your throat that doesn't go away, the ache behind your eyes, the heaviness in your limbs. Maybe you're tired but wired. Maybe you're doing everything right, but nothing feels quite right. This isn't sudden. This isn't new. What you're experiencing right now is a revealing. The emotional weight you feel isn't being created by this Saturn square. It's being exposed. Saturn doesn't throw new burdens on your back. It simply shines a light on the ones you've been carrying for years, sometimes without even knowing it. It's like a long-lost pressure valve suddenly breaking open, and what comes pouring out isn't new pain. It's old pain with nowhere left to hide. Think of it like a wooden floor that looks perfectly stable until someone walks across it and the boards creak and give way. Was the floor fine before, or was it just silently rotting beneath the surface, waiting for weight to expose the cracks? That's what's happening inside you right now. The structure that used to hold your emotional self together is groaning under truth. You might ask, but why does it feel like I'm falling apart if I'm actually waking up? Because when you've spent years holding things in, grief, shame, resentment, unmet responsibility, the release doesn't feel peaceful at first. It feels like breaking. It feels like failing. But what's actually happening is a sacred kind of emotional exhalation, the kind your nervous system never got to finish. Saturn in Aries squaring the Cancer Sun is a collision between personal truth and emotional obligation. Aries says, I must be free. Cancer says, I must be loyal. And now you're caught in the crossfire. If you're feeling torn between what you want and who you think you have to be for others, you're in the thick of the square. And that's not weakness. That's the signal you're finally aligned with the real work. The guilt you feel for needing rest, that's not yours. It's inherited. The pressure to hold it all together while you're quietly falling apart, that's not strength. It's programming. And Saturn's role in this moment is to expose just how heavy it's been to live as a version of yourself that always prioritizes survival over soul. So if you're crying without a clear reason, zoning out mid-conversation, snapping at people when you usually keep the peace, pause. This is the ritual. This is the medicine, not in fixing yourself, but in witnessing yourself without shame. Rest is not laziness right now, it's translation. Your body is trying to interpret the emotional data this square is surfacing. Journaling is not venting, it's decoding. The language of your feelings needs somewhere to land, somewhere safe enough to be heard without interruption. And silence? Silence is not empty, it's sacred bandwidth for your inner self to breathe without having to explain anything. There is no trophy for pretending you're fine through this. No reward for hiding the truth of your heaviness. This square invites you to do something rare and powerful. Sit with what hurts, without trying to rush it into healing. Because the discomfort you feel now, it's not an enemy, it's a messenger. It's the sound of bones realigning, identity shifting, pressure releasing from false expectations. And when you let yourself feel it, fully, honestly, you begin to realize the weight wasn't yours. It never was. You just became strong enough to carry what others dropped. And now, you're strong enough to put it down. Number 2, old roles are breaking because they were never you. And as the heaviness rises to the surface, something else begins to unravel. Your roles. The ones you've worn for years, the ones you built your life around, the helper, the strong one, the one who always has the answer, the peacemaker, the provider, the quiet one, the reliable one. You may not even realize how much of your identity was wrapped around these performances until now, when they start to collapse under their own weight. Suddenly, you find yourself failing to keep up with what used to feel automatic. You forget things. You miss calls. You no longer feel emotionally available to play the part everyone expects from you. And you might be thinking, what's wrong with me? Why am I slipping? But what's actually slipping is the mask. The version of you that was built on fear, on trauma, on survival. The character that was created to earn love, to keep peace, to avoid conflict, to prevent abandonment. And Saturn is here to strip that version away, not to punish you, but to set you free. It's jarring, isn't it? When you've spent years perfecting a role, only to wake up one morning and realize you no longer have the energy to perform it. That's not laziness. That's liberation through exhaustion. That's your body and soul finally agreeing, we can't do this anymore. You're not failing your responsibilities. What's failing is the illusion that you had to become someone else in order to be worthy. You may feel exposed now, raw, uncertain, like you're standing on a stage and the lights just came on, but the script is gone. That's not weakness. That's the truth finally stepping into the spotlight. When Saturn presses on your false identity, it's because the real one underneath is mature enough to take over. And the discomfort you feel now is the tension between who you've been and who you're becoming. You may notice certain relationships start to shift. People may pull away, others might react to you with confusion or frustration. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because the version of you they relied on is no longer available. You're becoming unrecognizable to those who only knew your performance, and that's okay. It means the spell is breaking. And yes, this is where it starts to connect. These collapsing roles, they're not random. They're tied to a deeper energetic shift that's happening behind the scenes. One we'll return to soon, because the part of you that's waking up is the part that was buried beneath every mask you ever wore. Number 3, the fog is real, but it's not confusion, it's clearing. And just when you thought the weight was enough, the fog rolls in. Not the kind that blinds you completely, but the kind that softens everything you used to rely on. The outlines of people, the clarity of your path, the conviction you once had in your decisions. It all starts to blur. You may find yourself staring at a text and not knowing how to respond, questioning relationships you once felt solid in, or suddenly wondering if what you've been working toward even matters anymore. That's Neptune. This isn't confusion by accident, it's clearing by design. Neptune's square to the sun doesn't just cloud your mind, it dissolves illusions. What no longer fits your truth starts to disintegrate, not because it's broken, but because it was never real to begin with. The friendships held together by guilt, the goals fueled by ego, the beliefs you borrowed from family, culture, or survival, they start to unravel quietly, invisibly, until all that's left is this strange in-between space. You might ask, how do I move forward when I can't see the road anymore? You don't, not yet. Because this part of the journey isn't about moving, it's about sensing. When the path is unclear, the only thing you can truly trust is your inner compass. Not logic, not advice, intuition. Neptune strips away the noise so you can finally hear your own knowing, but only if you're willing to sit in the silence. Think of it like an artist wiping down a canvas to start fresh. At first, it looks like a mess. Smudged lines, blurred shapes, nothing you can define, but that clearing, that's where something real can be created. Something that wasn't just copied from a script, but born from your own frequency. That's what this fog is doing for you. It's taking the storylines that were built on fear, pressure, and projection, and it's slowly making them invisible. It can feel like a crisis of clarity, but really, it's a gift of discernment, because in the absence of certainty, you begin to realize what's always felt true, beneath the roles, beyond the noise. That quiet knowing you've dismissed, the gut feeling you override, that's your compass now. Let the fog teach you. Let it make you softer. Let it blur the borders between who you thought you had to be and who you really are. Because once the fog clears, only truth will remain. Number 4, why everything feels off timing. And now you're probably noticing something even stranger. The clock feels broken. Plans aren't unfolding like they used to. Your timing is off. You miss things you never used to miss. You feel behind, even when you're doing your best. Maybe you're stuck in a loop where every effort feels just a second too late. That's not bad luck. That's not failure. That's the Cancer-Saturn square bending time. This isn't about poor planning. This is what happens when emotional responsibility, Cancer, collides with karmic pressure, Saturn. The mind wants schedules. The heart wants space. The world demands performance. But your soul is moving in spiral time. Not a straight line, not a checklist, but a rhythm that loops, circles, deepens, where something you thought you left behind 5 years ago suddenly returns, not to punish you, but to offer you one last chance to choose differently. You might ask, why does it feel like I'm late to something I didn't even know I was supposed to show up for? Because the life you're meant to live can't be navigated by a wall calendar. The shifts you're going through now aren't on anyone's schedule, not even yours. Divine timing doesn't move on hours. It moves on readiness. And Saturn's square to the Sun isn't blocking you. It's asking, are you truly ready for what you're asking for? Or are you still carrying a version of yourself that's not meant to receive it? This is why everything feels off, because you're aligning with a timeline that's no longer external. It's internal. Your energy is shifting. Your values are evolving. What used to matter no longer fits. And what's coming next won't enter your life until your frequency matches it. This can feel like a delay, but it's actually a protection. A cosmic pause button that keeps you from stepping into something too soon before you've unlearned what needs to be unlearned. It's the universe saying, wait, you're almost ready, but not yet. So if the old timing is falling apart, let it. This isn't about being on time, it's about being in tune. The things that are meant for you, real love, true work, lasting clarity, they don't arrive on cue. They arrive when your energy says, now I can hold this, now I can honor it. And here's where the deeper thread begins to surface. The pattern behind the delay, the lesson inside the slowness. It's not about failure, it's about emotional alignment. And we'll return to that soon. Because what's happening beneath the time distortion is more precise than any clock. Number 5. Isolation is a mirror, not a punishment. And then comes the silence, the distance, the space between you and the people you thought would always be there. You might feel it in your inbox, suddenly quiet. In your relationships, suddenly strained. In your conversations, suddenly hollow. It's not just you. This is isolation, but it's not punishment. It's a mirror. During Saturn squares, especially when the Sun is in Cancer, the sign of family, emotional safety, and belonging, the pull toward connection becomes desperate, right as connection begins to fade. This creates a painful illusion that you're doing something wrong, that you're being rejected, that you're too much or not enough. But that's not the truth. The truth is your energy is recalibrating, and the people who can't meet you where you're going begin to fall away. You might be asking, why is everyone pulling back just when I need them most? But look again, this isn't abandonment, it's alignment. Saturn strips the stage bare, removing every character that was feeding your story, but not feeding your soul. Not because you're not lovable, but because you're no longer available for conditional connection. What feels like loss right now is actually space. Space for your real voice to return. Because when the noise quiets down, when you're no longer being shaped by who others need you to be, your true self gets louder. And for the first time in a long time, you're not performing. You're simply being. It can feel disorienting, like walking through a house that once felt like home, now empty. But that emptiness, that's your sovereignty being born. The ability to hear your own truth without validation. The courage to feel your emotions without permission. The strength to sit in your own company and not run from it. Think of it like a forest clearing after a storm. Everything looks stripped, bare, silent. But underneath the soil, new roots are already forming. In solitude, your nervous system begins to repair. Your intuition begins to surface. And your emotional self stops echoing what others want and begins speaking what it actually needs. This part of the journey isn't about filling the space. It's about respecting it, because only in this space can you learn the difference between being alone and being returned to yourself. And right now, that's the most sacred reunion of all. Number 6. What you've been escaping will show up and ask to be released. And just when you thought you had made peace with your past, it shows up again, but not like before. Not loud, not dramatic, just quietly persistent. A memory you haven't thought about in years. A dream that feels too familiar. A conversation that pulls something out of you that you thought you buried. That's Neptune, not punishing you, presenting you. During a Neptune square to the Sun, especially through the emotional lens of Cancer, the veil gets thin, not just between you and the spiritual world, but between you and the emotions you've been hiding from. And what comes to the surface is never random. It's the exact feeling, pattern, or wound you've been working so hard to suppress, showing up again, not to haunt you, but to be released. You might ask, why now? Why this again? I thought I was past this. But here's the truth. You were past it in theory. But emotionally, energetically, it was still there. Unresolved, unintegrated, and waiting for your full attention. You can't heal what you keep avoiding. You can't transcend what you won't touch. This square isn't trying to drown you in your past. It's trying to clear the emotional charge around the things you've avoided for too long. That text you won't answer, that memory you never talk about, that person you still dream about, that ache you distract yourself from with noise, productivity, or performance. Neptune removes the filters. Saturn removes the escape routes. And what you're left with is the thing itself. But here's the medicine. This time, you're ready. You have the emotional tools, the self-awareness, the courage. You're no longer meeting this wound as a child. You're meeting it as someone capable of holding space for it. Think of it like a ghost that only haunts you because it was never given a voice. When you turn around and face it, truly face it, it doesn't scream. It softens, it dissolves, it finally leaves you in peace. And this is where the healing hides, not in bypassing the pain, not in overriding the discomfort, but in leaning into it with presence. The only way out is through. But what no one tells you is, once you go through it, you never have to carry it again. This is not punishment, this is permission, and what you choose to release now makes room for everything that's waiting to arrive. Number 7. Repeat cycles are not failures, they're final exams. And now, just when you think you've grown past it, it circles back. The same conversation, the same trigger, the same old pattern dressed in a new disguise. Maybe it's a relationship dynamic you swore you'd never fall into again. Maybe it's a fear you thought you buried. Maybe it's that familiar ache in your chest when something doesn't go as planned, and you think to yourself, why am I still here? Haven't I done the work? But here's the truth no one tells you. Repetition doesn't always mean failure. Sometimes it means you're finally ready to pass the test you used to run from. This is how the universe checks your integration. Not with applause, not with comfort, with a loop, a repeat cycle. It's not because you're being punished, it's because you're being asked, have you really changed? Or did you just talk about change? You see, growth doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like déjà vu. The Cancer sun brings emotional history to the forefront. And Saturn's not sentimental. It's here to expose what's still unfinished. So if you find yourself back in a familiar emotional scene, pause. This isn't a trap, it's a final exam. Think of it like a video game. You don't face the boss at the beginning, you face them after you've built your skills. That's where you are now. That's why it hurts more than usual. Because this time, you're not supposed to run. You're supposed to respond differently. With boundaries, with softness, with awareness, with power. You might ask, but what if I react the same way again? Does that mean I've failed? No. The moment you recognize the loop is the moment you weaken its hold. The pattern is only dangerous when it goes unseen. But the fact that you're noticing it now, that you're questioning it, slowing it down, speaking about it, that's the shift. These emotional retests are not designed to break you. They're designed to graduate you. And the discomfort you feel now, that's the friction between who you used to be and who you're finally ready to become. So if it feels like a loop, look closer. It's not punishment. It's proof that your breakthrough is near. Number 8. The secret behind this test. You're becoming emotionally immune to illusion. And now we arrive at the truth beneath it all, the part we've been circling from the very beginning. The reason this moment feels so heavy, so unclear, so cyclical, so lonely, the pressure, the fog, the discomfort. It's not chaos, it's not punishment, it's a rewiring. This isn't just an emotional purge. This is a cosmic retraining of your perception. What you're experiencing under this double square, Sun to Saturn and Sun to Neptune, is a recalibration of how you respond to pressure, how you navigate emotion, and most importantly, how you detect illusion. You are not just healing your past, you are becoming immune to emotional manipulation. Think of it like a spiritual vaccination. Saturn exposes the pressure points. Where you people please, where you perform, where you break yourself just to be acceptable. Neptune exposes the illusions, the stories you believed because they sounded nice, the roles you played because they made others comfortable, the narratives you followed because they made sense, even when they never felt right. And in this convergence, you're being shown all of it at once, not to overwhelm you, but to build your discernment, to sharpen your internal radar, to teach you the difference between what drains you and what grows you, between what looks good and what's true. You are being trained to feel truth, not guess it, to recognize deception, not with logic, but with instinct. You might be wondering, but what if I still fall for it? What if I still doubt myself? That's part of the training. Immunity doesn't mean you never feel the illusion. It means it doesn't stick. It means you see it quicker, recover faster, act wiser. It means the lies might still knock, but you won't let them in the door. This is what emotional sovereignty looks like. It's not coldness, it's not disconnection, it's clarity, the ability to stay soft without becoming naive, to stay open without becoming available for chaos. The world will still lie, people will still perform, but you will know, you will feel it, you will trust it, and you won't need proof to validate it. Your emotional body will tell you everything. That's the gift, that's the test, that's the initiation. And that's the secret most people miss. This isn't about learning how to be more emotional. It's about learning how to command your emotion without abandoning your truth. Because when your emotional discernment sharpens, illusion dies in your presence. And that, right there, is power that cannot be faked.